No, that's an excellent question. And in the management entity, I'm trying to think of the other name, but I'm trying to think of it. There's a requirement that essentially says, okay, you're going to get designation. How are you going to take it forward? Demonstrate any financial resources that you have. So as I said earlier, these federal grants are still alive. They're not huge. They come from FHWA, that's Federal Highway Works Administration, I think, and they come to the state of New York for designated scenic byways. That's some of the money. The Catskills Center and the Central Catskills Chamber of Commerce are going to continue to look for foundation funds and so forth to help keep it afloat. So far, you know, we have made some great accomplishments for the corridor. The interpretive kiosk on Route 28 that sits at the front of the site for the proposed Catskill Interpretive Center. That's an example of a project that was done with a lot of volunteer work. And the state didn't have money, but they had equipment, they had manpower, and they had a whole team of designers in Albany that really made that project happen. So we feel that, yes, you know, money is important. We're going to continue to pursue it, but we feel there's enough people in the communities with enough talent and resources, and they want to work together to make this place really what it deserves. Not to take away from any other kinds of economic development, but for crying out loud, you drive from Boyceville all the way up to Margaretville, and there are 10 intersections leading to 14 trailheads. I think I have all those numbers right. And only one of them has a sign. So the people of the state of New York have paid for this forest preserve to sit up there. And yeah, you can't cut the trees on it, and it's forever wild. But how do the communities benefit from that? And they're not benefiting when there's only one sign in a 30-mile stretch. So these are the kinds of things that this group would like to help the communities tap into, to not make the whole economy, but support it.
So this plan would also provide things like kiosks and picnic areas within our town. Who would take care of those?
Well, that'll be up to you. I understand you have a... No, there's a plan right now, a state-funded plan to create a picnic park, and that question came up, and the supervisor asked me that question, and I said, well, you haven't finalized the project. You could put in the ask to the state of New York for a maintenance fee. I don't think that's out of the question in the grant program. So, and we have a lot of volunteers that really want to help out as well. Going back to the kiosk, it was built, everything was great, we had the ribbon cutting, and then the lawn went up and came like this, right? So the Friends of the Catskill Interpretive Center stepped up and they mowed the lawn. And if there's garbage, they pick it up. That's a not-for-profit or a volunteer group that wants to help out.
I have to hide my garbage can in Boyceville, or everybody who comes down 28 dumps their garbage in it. So if we have a public park on 28, where do you think people are going to dump their garbage?
Well, that might be true. I think that if we collectively look at the positives that a scenic byway will bring, I think we can work out amongst ourselves some of these glitches. You know, this isn't my project. I'm not here to debate garbage cans. It happens up in Margaretville. But I think ultimately what we're trying to do here is put a positive spin on the resources that we have here. And a lot of people go to other places like the Adirondacks, and the you know, the Catskills are doing okay, but we think we could boost tourism. Again, even not a picnic park per se on 28, but just getting people to the state resources that are out there. That's a real deficit you have here.
Yeah, I had a question. Dan Ellendorf, West Shokan. You mentioned the billboards and the off-premise signs. I assume that applies to political signs being planted along the road as well?
No, those are controlled by local zoning.
Okay, that's part A of my question. Part B, are there any other restrictions, literally, any other restrictions besides the off-premise signs that this public would like to know about?
No, that question was asked See, initially it came up at the second meeting, I think, after this group formed. And that specific question came up, and we said, no, not that we know of. And they said, yeah, but who are you, right? Even had Bill Rudge, DEC, okay? Well, okay, Bill, that sounds nice, but how do we know for sure? So what the collaborative did was they invited the New York State Scenic Byways Program Coordinator to say, that's the only regulation, that's the only thing that would happen.
Peter, on page 36, though, you're saying aggressively manage accesses, avoid excess curb cutting, required shared driveways, internal circulation roads, other designs and direct traffic, as well as define locations best able to support the traffic, reasonable parking, and multiple nodes of transportation. These are all restrictions.
They're aspirations, they're not restrictions. We have nothing now.
All right.
Whose aspirations?
That's a fine line.
Not mine.
So the trouble is that we're concerned that it's going to become from aspirations to restrictions. It's like the nose of the camel getting his nose under the tent, and us leaving our, losing our rights.
That's what order
We're free men here, free women.
We just went through nonsense with the DEP and DEC over the creek here, trying to get, these poor people making phone calls all day long and all night long, right, driving on. Why would you want to take any more oversight from anybody here?
And if this is in the Catskill Park, and you tell me we got restrictions already, why do we need more laws since we already got the restrictions?
No more
We're
laws.
looking at it as just one restriction. The rest of what happens in the town of Olive needs to be a result of ourselves, with our planning and our zoning and our subdivision regs and everything else that goes with being a part of the town of Olive.
This doesn't
We don't need any
anything.
other towns to.
Everything would still be
If you
resolved
want
the
signs
same way it is
for
now.
trails, just make signs for trails. I mean, why will these inter-county regulations, New York State filing with this guy? It's just
I
insane.
bet the
The
Boy
level of
Scouts would like to help
suffocation
make
of
some of those
bureaucracy.
signs.
3
Without
years,
any tax money at all.
would do that.
3 years,
That's what we're hoping
3 years
that
and
other
130
partnerships.
pages. 3 years and 130 pages. I read it. It's a stunning, breathtaking document of building, of restriction, of control, and if the people who want this, as they call it, an overarching regulatory power, that's if all you all wanted were signs, and it took you 3 years and 130 pages, holy cow, holy cow. You either are telling us a big story, or in those 30 meetings, you needed some paint and some sticks and some magic marker.
So are you saying that 130 is not enough, or 130 is too much?
Nobody writes 130 pages for, if all you care about, nosing the camel is the perfect idea. Look at your own words. It is noted that the Catskill region does not have an overarching regional entity like the Adirondacks, where I have 100 acres that has gone down in value because they got themselves an overarching regional entity. Everyone hates their guts. They ruin everything. If we have an argument with our elected officials who stick their neck out, run for office, sometimes it gets rough in here, but they play the political game. They're in or they're out. We can elect them. I read nothing in this plan that contained a mechanism to get rid of this 13-member collaborative who seems to me to be extremely ambitious. The amount of information on construction, control, re-engineering the town, telling us, when does encouraging growth in the hamlet areas using land use tools, that's starting to remind me of transfer of development rights from the comprehensive plan. Building roundabouts, planning and developing sidewalk networks throughout the town hamlets. And what I really don't like, and I would like to ask you a question, Mr. Friedel. Is anybody else up there in a work for the ambulance or does any emergency work?
At 30